Hi gents, we're gonna move on now to coordinate geometry of the circle. Just want to thank you all for popping in the assignment on Teams. They were really of a high standard, so thank you very much for doing that. This is it's still coordinate geometry. It's still got an x-axis and a y-axis as per normal, but this time instead of dealing with lines, we're going to deal with circles. So first thing that we're going to do is we'll just remind ourselves, we're going to try and get the equation of a particular circle, but we just need to talk about, what does it mean to be an equation anyway of a line. So if we just take this as an example here, we'll say that this is minus 2, 0. We'll say that this is 0, 1. What does it mean when we get the equation of a line? So I'm going to tell you that when you get the equation of a line, it means that if you pick any point which is on the line, what that will do is that will satisfy the equation. So I'll try and explain what I mean by that. Let's just pick another point that's on it. Just before I get the equation of this line, we'll just pick another point that's on it here. Well, if we move over from minus 2 to 0, so I'll try and pick the halfway point, which would be minus 1, and it will be going up from height of 0 to height of 1, so halfway along would be a half. So for instance, that's another point on it. Let's just get the equation of this line here. It's y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. That would be one way to get it. I'll show you another way in a second. We'll use the point 0, 1 and we'll get the slope. The slope is rise over run. So when we're doing that, rise over run, if we go with my points that I started with, minus 2, 0 and 0, 1, the rise, how much did I go up by? Well, it was at a height of 0, now it's at a height of 1, so it went up by 1. How much should it move over by? Was at minus 2, it's now at 0. We've moved over 2. So that would be its slope. So we would get y, this is our x1 and y1. Y minus 1 is equal to a half times x minus 0. So we get y minus 1 is equal to a half x. You multiply everything by 2 if you wanted to. 2y minus 2 is equal to x. And we'll bring it all over to one side. X minus 2y plus 2. This would be the equation of that line there. Meaning that if you take any point that is on that line and sub it in, it will satisfy the equation, i.e. it'll give you a correct answer. So let's just take the point that we already decided was also on it, minus 1.5, and we'll place it in. That's x, that's y. We get 0 is equal to x, which is minus 1. Minus 2 times y, which is minus a half, plus 2. So we would get that 0 is equal to minus 1. We then do minus 2 times minus a half, so that's going to be plus 1. And then we have plus 2 here. And we end up getting something entirely wrong. So that just means that I've done something very, very stupid. And the very, very stupid thing is that for some reason I wrote down minus a half, and I have no idea why. So let me just fix that up there. What would we get? We would get minus 2 times a half. So I would get minus 1 plus 2. That makes a lot more sense. So we get minus 2 plus 2, which is 0. So we get 0 is equal to 0, meaning that it's satisfied the equation. Okay, it's given you a truthful answer. If we had picked something that's not on there, we'll take something here. We'll just say that this point here, we'll just say that this is 5 minus 1 or something like that. If you subbed that one in there, you would end up getting 0 is equal to 5 minus 2 times minus 1 plus 2. You get 0 is equal to 5 plus 2 plus 2. You get 0 is equal to 9. That obviously makes no sense. And it just means that this point is not part of that line. Okay, so that is what it means to get the equation of a line. It just means that any point that you have can be placed inside the equation and it will satisfy it. It will give you a truthful answer. So let's go now and try to apply this to a circle. Okay, so to do a circle, it's a lot trickier than what it is just to do a straight line. But actually, it turns out that it's something quite familiar to you, even though you probably wouldn't have thought of it straight off the bat. But let's see if I can just set you up here. You might actually be able to figure it out just yourself, just on inspection. Okay, Just notice that whenever we have x squared, y squared, and whoops, I'm giving stuff away. Whenever we have x and y, and then we have a number, it's going to be the same here. It's just x's and y's, but the number is in relation to something specific. Now that's my best attempt at a circle, with apologies. Okay, what we're going to do is we're going to take a point, and remember, whatever equation you write down here, whatever equation you have over here, whatever this point is must fit into that equation. It must make sense inside there. So this is, remember what a point stands for. If there's an x value and a y value, the x value is how much did you move over there. Okay, how much did you move over there? That distance there is your x value. Just keep it as a straight line. Obviously it's right along the line there. And what you went up this distance here, that's your y value. Okay. Now we're going to write it in terms of the radius here. The radius is just going to be a particular set number. Different circles will have different radiuses or radii. So I'm not going to fill in what that particular number is at the moment, but we'll just call it radius, okay? Because obviously it depends on which circle we're talking to. Well, it turns out that every single point that you make on the circle, this, for instance, will be the new x value. We'll call that one x1, y1. Okay. If I were to make a second point, x2, y2, for instance, right here, there's the point. This length becomes x2, and this length becomes y2, and this is still the radius. And we've created the same shape twice, and in fact every point that you pick will create the same shape. And that shape, and the two are linked even though they don't seem like it, that shape is of course a particular type of triangle, and it is a right angle triangle. And you can, I'm sure, I hope, come up with yourself an equation which is true of right angle triangles, where we're talking about one side x, the other side y, and the hypotenuse, which in this case, and in fact in all cases with circles, is the radius. So if you can write down that equation, then you have figured out what is the equation of a circle when centered at 0, 0. You have to have the center down there, and with a radius of r. And so hopefully you have paused it and written it down, or at least mentally thought of it, or shouted it out, or whatever. And the equation of the circle is very simply x squared plus y squared equals r squared. It's Pythagoras' theorem, really. So this is the equation of a circle. And we just have to point out that the center is 0, 0. And the radius is r. And there you have it. It is literally that simple. So for instance, if I tell you that a circle has center 0, 0, so we'll make a few columns here. This will be the center. It'll always be 0, 0 just at the beginning, and radius. Okay. If I, for instance, tell you that the radius is 3, we'll say something like that, what would the equation of the circle be? Yeah, sorry, EQN, we'll say, equation of circle. It is as simple as saying that the equation of the circle will be x squared plus y squared is equal to, now you've got a choice. You can either just write down, some people do, 3 squared and just leave it at that. That would get you full marks. But I tend to say 9. Okay, but you don't have to. Okay, you can just say 3 squared if you want to. So, well, this is, I mean, it's actually trivial. If we were to say it has a radius of 4, predict what I'm going to write down here, and it is, of course, x squared plus y squared is equal to 16. Okay, nice and simple there. It does get more complicated, of course, but the starting point at least is not too bad. Let's do it in reverse. What if I give you the equation of a circle? If I say x squared plus y squared is equal to 169, what can you say about it? Well, if you just see x squared and y squared equals to a number, you can be certain, I can tell you now, that the center is 0, 0. We'll go into the center not being 0, 0 and other things. And to get the radius, what you would say, well, if you take the one above it, you know that it's x squared plus y squared equals r squared. So if you go to the one above, r squared is 16, so r is equal to 4. We don't take negatives on this one here, and so you can say radius is 4. If you've got r squared is equal to 169, you will know, perhaps off by heart, that the square root of 169 is 13. So we've got a radius of 13. Okay. Do another one. X squared plus y squared is equal to, we'll say 100. You will be able to say straight away, center is 0, 0, and the radius is the square root of 100, or 10. Let's do these ones here. X squared plus y squared is equal to 17. What would you write down for this one? Okay, well, no prizes for getting 0, 0. But in this case, it doesn't have to be a nice number. We have that r squared is 17. So we just say that r is root 17, and there's nothing more to do with it. That's what you would say that is. Okay. So I tell you what, I will just leave a couple ones here for you to do yourself. And you can, I'll actually just do a second video just showing you the answers, and you can click into it. Or in fact, you know what, I'll just put it here and just pause me, take this as being your homework. And you can just pause it, do it, and then know that you have it right. So I'll just, I'll do 2, I suppose, where I have x squared plus y squared is equal to, maybe 3 actually. We'll say 25, write down the center and radius. X squared plus y squared is equal to, we will say 10. X squared plus y squared is equal to 1. And then I will go ahead and answer the doorbell. So let me just pause you for a second. Apologies for that. Let's see, where were we? I think we were, yeah, we were just getting you to try out a few of these ones. So if you can now write down the equation of this triangle, or sorry, circle, although they are connected, and we'll just say that it is a radius of, go with 7 because we haven't used it, and we'll say centered 0, 0, and radius of root, we'll go with root 13. Just write in those ones. Okay, so if you pause me here and fill those in, and I will give you the answer now in just a second in the video so that you can just correct your homework with it. Okay, here it comes. Well, obviously these are all 0, 0. Almost not worth writing down, but still worth it just to get into the habit of it. Okay, so remember, if we're given 25, this is what r squared is. So if r squared is 25, r is root 25, which is 5. R squared is 10, so r is equal to the square root of 10. You can't really break that down into anything much nicer. This one here now, we'll just take a little second. I tried to put in a small tricky one. R squared is equal to 1. So r is equal to the square root of 1, and the square root of 1 is just 1. Okay, what number when multiplied by itself gives you 1? 1 by itself gives you that. Whereas here we've got x squared plus y squared is equal to, and it's equal to the radius squared. The radius squared, if we take the radius and square it, we get 49. You can say 7 squared too, as we said before. And x squared plus y squared is equal to, you take root 13 and you square it. Square and square root are opposite functions to each other, so you just get 13 itself. Okay, gents, hope you're keeping well. All the best.